In 2011 and 2012, Huthwaite undertook a very significant global study into buyer behaviour and changes. And that involved over 6,000 people, a whole range of mediums, from interviews with sales and marketing leaders, buyers, academics in the space, a very, very broad cross-section. And from that, we have produced a very, very popular white paper as well as a video documentary on what was happening out there. We then ran a couple of what we call pulse surveys last year, where we go back to the market and just test what things are going on and what are changing. And we saw some significant changes last year just in between Q2 and Q4. And there are three things in particular of interest that came up around topics of quite considerable change. And the first was around buyers engaging later and also not engaging sales until well and truly through the process. The second was around social media and how much was being used by professionals in helping them around decisions and investigation. And then the last was a really important one. It doesn't matter whether it's about face-to-face or whether it's through any digital medium, is being able to create value and insights and commercial acumen that salespeople and business development people need to be able to do in any interaction. So there was quite a considerable change. So 6% in the first one. There's some great data around this. The Forrester research groups say that about 70% of a purchasing transaction is complete before sales gets involved. The corporate executive board have it around 60%. And that's very consistent with what we're seeing as well. And I think a lot of you would also agree that the dynamics around that are changing and will continue to trend upwards. For the second point, it was really only a matter of time before the activities that people use in B2C moved into B2B. I mean, after all, business people are consumers. So this was going to bleed across into B2B. And is doing so at a rapid rate and will continue to trend this way. And then the last, and really one of the most important things, is about how you create insight and value and how you differentiate yourself. There are so many different touch points that you can go to a customer with and your competitors. And being able to stand out, whether it's in a face-to-face conversation or through a digital medium, and differentiate yourself and create value is absolutely critical. And it's an incredible skill to be able to do that. And these are also very relevant to the topic that we're covering off today. There's a lot of change and upheaval going on out there, some great data, and this updates to the minute and it changes. And as I was going through this morning, Matt Loop from LinkedIn gave me the updates on where we're up to. But when I put this together, earlier on, there was around 200 million users of LinkedIn. What are we up to now, Matt? 225 million. So and that is just up on just what you see up there, the 13 million increase from November last year. It's a lot. By the end of this session, over 7,500 new LinkedIn members will be created. So Matt Loop, who heads up the sales effort here for LinkedIn, has done a great job. I'm not sure if there's anyone here that can contribute to that, so he can go back and say that he's contributed to that number. 181,000 people have on their Twitter profile that in their bio that they're involved in social media, and that is up from 16,000 in 2009. So it's an incredibly growing space. 2 people per second join LinkedIn. 200 million active Twitter users per month. And a really powerful piece of data, 33%, the number who ended a relationship online because they thought they were being bombarded. So content is absolutely critical, particularly with so many users out there. As part of our research, we went looking for other data in the marketplace, and it wasn't hard to find. What I want to share with you around the situation in the social selling space came from the Sales Management Association, a survey from last year. And they have some really powerful numbers. 96% of sales and marketing leaders believe their teams use LinkedIn at least once a week. 80% believe their sales force would be far more effective and productive if they used it. Greater than 50% expect to increase their engagement in the key platforms of Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook. However, 66% of firms do not have a social media strategy for the sales organisation. So you think about the numbers of users out there in the sales organisation and those that are working without a framework, without guidance. We had our own hypothesis around this, and then this was supported with other findings that we came across. So the Altimeter Group in the US, 11% of companies, only 11% had a formal strategy for sales for their efforts, compared to the marketing organisation which had 82%. Sales and marketing alignment is always one of these great nirvanas, and it's often talked about, but as you can see from these numbers, it becomes very hard to actually get alignment when that type of thing is actually going on. The bigger problem. This is also from the Sales Management Association, and those sales leaders, and there was around 380 organisations that took part in this study of the leading organisations in the US. They believed their sales force lacked a solid understanding of social media. They thought that their customers were actually far more sophisticated than they were, particularly their key customers, in their social media strategies. And one of the most telling of all of the problems around this was around training. So they were asked a question: have you received appropriate training? And 68% either strongly disagreed or disagreed. So almost 70% of people don't believe they have been trained anywhere near the level that they need to be able to effectively operate as sellers and marketers. That's a huge number, and it's also something that's really, I think, hitting a lot of organisations about what do they do about this. The next thing that we looked at was, what are some of the implications? And there was a great study put out earlier this year by the B2B Marketing Outlook report. It's a fantastic report. It's a domestic report here in Australia, but very much worth the read. And one of the things that they found around satisfaction or dissatisfaction in social media, there were 3 areas that came out as glowing issues. That is lead nurturing, lead generation, and also, to a lesser extent, cross-selling and upselling. So you have a great deal of people that aren't satisfied with the training they're getting. You've got a whole group of people out there who have probably never been very effective in the traditional face-to-face selling environment. They've been just as ineffective in the social sense. However, obviously in a face-to-face sales call, if it doesn't go well, often it's laughed about and it can be forgotten. With social media, it's there forever and it's there for everyone to see. And it doesn't just affect the personal brand of the individual, but obviously the company brand as well. So this is a huge risk for organisations. And I know a couple of our panellists have some really good insights into this and what their organisations are doing to address this issue. This also further challenges that the roles of sales and marketing and the alignment that needs to be there, because from this you can see that the marketing organisation is not very happy with the sales organisation at all, which causes further issue and further challenge. But why does it matter? And I gave that example at the beginning from the Cognate Research and LinkedIn. The Aberdeen Group also have done some great research around this, and whilst these social selling remains a bit of an ambition for a lot of organisations, change is already underway. So there are people actually already doing it and doing it well. And here's some data on those that are actually doing it well. So those are the performance benefits of social selling. So from a team attainment of quota, 64% as opposed to 49%. Fantastic result. Customer renewal rates, 55 versus 48. Sales forecasting accuracy, 54 versus 42%. You can actually go down to a table downstairs here and have better odds than 42% than forecasting. So you're often better going down to the baccarat table and just having a punt. You'll probably come out better than with some of the forecasting that goes on out there. And I'm looking at my boss as I say that, as he's nodding his head. And the percentage of sales reps achieving quota, 46 versus 38%. So some really powerful data. So there is a difference that can be made, and there's great opportunities there for those that execute well. It sounds a little bit doom and gloomy, but there's actually always some good news around this. So for sellers, you don't have to make a decision to be involved in social media because your customers already made that decision for you. You have no choice. The skills that are required both in a face-to-face interaction and through any medium on social are the same. So I said those same sellers who are doing well out there, you'll find, and we're finding, would be just as effective using social mediums as part of their micro-marketing efforts, prospecting and nurturing opportunities. Of course, those that don't fit into that good part of the bell are going to struggle, and probably struggle greatly, even more so in this area.